So hello, my name is Patrick Lin, and I'm part of Team 40. This is for CS352, and our team designed and created a prototype in Figma for a medical emergency response app that's designed to guide users who might have limited medical knowledge or background through stressful medical emergencies. And so this app is aimed at smartphone users who are aged 16 and older, who might want to learn about or have on-demand guidance during medical emergencies for either themselves or a loved one who might be at risk. So the first screen I'll be showing is the home screen, and the home screen acts as a point of contact from which users can navigate to different features and sections of the app. The home screen consists of a few elements. We have a large 911 button at the top. Below that we have a search bar, which consists of both text and voice input. We have an I'm not sure button to guide users to the correct condition. And we have a quick access section, which consists of either a list, as we see here, or a grid, as we see here, or a list if we choose. Underneath that, we have the educational button, as well as the settings button. So here are our research-backed justifications for the screen. The placement of the emergency button and its size. Our primary research found that large buttons will make navigation easier during rushed usage, like those like users during a medical emergency. The guidelines that we studied included button size of 44 to 72 pixels, and our button here is 72 pixels, which is adequately large. This follows the research-backed mobile accessibility guidelines. So it's positioned at the top because it has the most priority out of all these features, and it's more critical during stressful situations, and because of that, it's more visible. We also used a high contrast color of red to also signal an emergency, as well as high contrast text, which is a white on red, as well as bold-faced and large font. These decisions were based on universal design principles for emergency situations. And below that, we have the quick access grid. Our research showed that an emergency list on the front page would reduce clicks and time to get to the actual guidance and instructions that our users need. And this was crucial. This is a very critical point for our apps, our app and users, that users take as few clicks and as few minutes as possible to get to the correct instructions. Users can also change the quick access layout, and they can change the pre-pinned conditions based on what they need personally. And we base this on Nielsen's heuristic of customization and flexibility of use. Our research also showed that users preferred simple and confusion-free visuals, so we used very simple and clear direct icons to represent each condition visually, which is very important during medical emergency. We tried to make these icons as unambiguous as possible based on our research and user testing. And finally, the grid layout was initially chosen by default after the research showed that users needed efficient ways to get to the instructions. And later on, we added a way to customize it through changing the quick access layout to a list. So the overall layout had a few design choices as well. It's very minimalist and follows the research finding that cognitive load reduction is critical for our use case. There are also multiple access or navigation flows that were implemented after research showed that users needed different ways to get to the instructions. So we have the search bar through text or voice. We have the I'm not sure button, which guides you to the correct condition. And we have the quick access, which comes from pre-pinned or favorited conditions. So next we have the search function, which allows user to directly search for a condition using either text input or voice input, which uses speech to text. So we click this search bar, a bottom sheet pops up with a text box, as well as the keyboard, which allows the user to input using the keyboard, something like heart attack or bleeding. If the user clicks the voice input, then they can talk directly into the microphone of the mobile device, which automatically searches for them, or automatically converts their speech to text and converts it to text and searches. Yeah, so we decided to do the bottom sheet to keep the home screen visible, just because it's so important, and we wanted to make sure that users could easily find their way back to the home screen, because it acts as a sort of central point of contact for everything in the app. We decided to include the voice input based on our primary or our secondary research and primary research of users expressing the need to have both efficient search while also being able to use the app hands-free. Users also expressed the concern that they might not be able to use both hands to text or type in text using a keyboard very efficiently during a highly stressful situation. So very quickly, if we click on one of these options, then it takes us to the overview screen, which we'll get to next, or later on. So the third screen I'll be showing is the I'm not sure. So if the user clicks I'm not sure, this I'm not sure button, the app attempts to guide them to the correct condition based on a decision tree algorithm that attempts to identify the condition that the user needs at that time. And so if we click here, this is our screen. So the screen asks a series of questions to the user to try to determine or diagnose what's going on and try to serve the most relevant condition possible. So if the user selects yes to is the person breathing, is the person bleeding, yes, then we get taken to a bleeding instruction overview page. Yeah, so this button actually went through one revision in which one of the users that we interviewed actually said that they were not sure exactly what this button does, so they were sort of hesitant to use it. So that's why we added the subtext of help me identify the emergency, which pretty much we added because to make sure that the users who need this feature the most are the ones who are actually using it. So next we have the condition overview. So if we access one of the conditions through the search, click on heart attack, then it takes us to the overview screen. So we have the title, we have quick summary, and the key symptoms. And so one of the key underlying principles of our app is to always reduce cognitive load and to prevent user error whenever possible. And so this screen does both by presenting a quick snapshot or high-level overview of what the condition is. And this reduces cognitive overload by only providing the essential info at the start so that they know what's going on. And also prevents user error by acting as a confirmation screen, so users do not actually get thrown into the the instruction flow before they confirm that this is the actual condition that they want. So by clicking on the begin instructions button, it actually takes us to our fifth screen, which consists of multiple flows or multiple screens within this flow. And so it takes us to the step 1 of the heart attack instructions. And so this screen represents our clear and unambiguous step-by-step instruction screen. So we have the title, the step number, the title of the step, visual aid and icons, clear, detailed instructions that are as simple as possible and clear and direct. And we have buttons, if necessary, for calling 911 in an emergency, as well as navigation buttons at the bottom, which allow the user to go forward and backwards or to exit the entire flow. So research showed that users needed minimal, easy to understand text, as well as high quality graphics for the instructions. So we have both elements there. We needed a step-by-step format to directly address findings our insight that users need unambiguous instructions. So if we click next, we can, as you can see, we can navigate back and forth. If we reach the end of the instructions, then the forward button disappears and we can exit the flow. Oh, we also included the large exit button, which contrasted with the background to provide an easy way for users to exit the flow, to not feel trapped. So this follows Nielsen's heuristic of allowing or fixing user error. We also made the background red to visually distinguish between the home screen as well as when the user is inside of the instruction flow. So our screen number 6 would be the educational material, and the learning module consists of a grid layout which matches the quick access layout, and it allows users to pick a condition that they want to learn more about. So once I click on it, it brings them to an overview page, which is designed for learning instead of an emergency. And so here, user can either click begin instructions or jump to review. So we decided to allow both to allow for to follow Nielsen's heuristic of user flexibility. So this accommodates both new learners as well as more experienced or knowledgeable learners who want to just test their knowledge to review. And so going through here, we can study the steps. After we're done studying the steps, we can review our knowledge through a test or quiz. And then if a user wants to jump directly to the review, they can do so. So our 7th screen consists of the settings page at the very bottom. And our settings page consists of 2 parts: the settings, the accessibility settings for the entire app, as well as a help and documentation portion. So the settings portion includes high contrast, vibration, haptics, captions, text-to-speech, large text, and visual indicators. And so this, our research emphasized the importance of universal design principles that are inclusive and include various accessibility options and features. So this embodies that principle. We also included voice control, which is another feature of accessibility in the search bar. And so many of these are helpful for users with visual or audio impairments. The documentation portion, we added a help section based on user feedback. Also follows Nielsen's heuristic of documentation and fixing user error. So we allow the user to see an FAQ documentation and to contact the developer in case of any problems. So our 8th screen is this quick access settings page, which would allow users to edit various settings for the quick access layout, including maybe size, width, number of items in the grid, number of items in the list, etc., as well as option to switch to a list format. So if we click here, then we can switch between grid and list. And so we found that our research found that users wanted more customization options for this section in case they didn't really like the grid, or they wanted to change the number of items inside the grid that they can pre-pin in case they wanted to pin more than 4. Or so we gave them the option to either have a scrollable list or to change, customize the grid itself. So for the 9th and final screen, there are actually a few options. We could have I could have chose to separate this educational portion into a few parts. This could have been one screen, and the educational overview could have been one more screen, as well as the instructions, or the review page with the quiz and the feedback. But I think I'll choose this voice input to go a little bit more in depth. So we decided to choose this voice input, to implement this voice input, because one of our users, as mentioned before, briefly, Our research showed that users wanted ways to input text um, into the app and search for a condition without necessarily having to type using their fingers or hands. So this would allow hands-free usage of the app uh, and allow the user to do multiple things at once during a stressful situation. So this screen is actually separate. This button is actually accessible from both the text input, so you can click here and you can select it directly from the front page or home page. So in this video I presented at least 9 screens, and as well as the research justifications, and that's everything we had to present, and thank you for your time.